You're watching Tag TV.
Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with a disturbing statistic from Pakistan. From 23% in 1947 to only 3 to 4% in today's time, the population of minorities in Pakistan has witnessed a rapid fall in its number in these many years, and this can be seen as the most dangerous wiping out of religious minorities in the Islamic nation. Religious extremism seems to have taken a worst form in the state, whereas God's vengeance, minorities are being murdered, arrested, jailed or executed for various imaginary crimes, including under the appalling blasphemy laws of Pakistan. So today we bring you a small report highlighting how the growing religious intolerance in the state is sweeping away of blood of thousands of innocent civilians.
Pakistan has seemingly unleashed mayhem on its minorities, with the number of people falling victim into discriminate atrocities constantly rising. Giving a push to this situation are the hardline Islamists who are on a killing streak to convert the state into a graveyard. Using tools like blasphemy law, they make minorities as target of legal and social discrimination. Since 1947, the state has witnessed some of the worst organized violence against religious minorities that are a reminder of how the country has steadily embraced radical Islamists. In Sindh, there was continuous forced conversion of non-Muslims despite the passage of the Hindu Marriage Act, which grants rights in family law of Hindu citizens. A report by United States Commission on International Religious Freedom in 2017 said that the religious minorities in Pakistan, including Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Ahmadis, were subjected to an organized persecution. As a result, 231 people were killed and 691 people were injured in such incidents in Pakistan. And even in today's date, there is no end to the stories of sufferings and repression faced by the minorities. The things are exactly the same or even worse as they were few years back.
Non-state actors, basically they are supported by the state, and the state is behind. For example, this Hafiz Saeed is developing madrasas in our Thar area, and he is allowed to do his work and kidnap people, kidnap young girls as old as 8-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl has been kidnapped, and they convert them into so-called Muslim and rape them, and this is going on almost every month. Policy is going on almost every month. 20 to 30 families are attacked by these religious fanatics, and not a single culprit still now has been brought to justice and has been punished. And this policy is still going on. This is a huge disaster is happening in the Sindh.
These people protesting against the atrocities of Islamabad are from the minority Hazara community, who are facing unprecedented Pakistani barbarity. This particular community, which has become the center stage for violence, lost as many as 19 people only days back in an attack that had fingerprints of state-backed terrorism on it. Each woman protesting here has a story of colossal pain and loss. They are the ones bearing the brunt after their men and children are killed brutally. In the past few decades, things have only become worse for the minorities in Pakistan, the foremost reason being the radicalization of Pakistani society. Moreover, the education curriculum that breeds hatred for minorities and a judicial system that is unwilling to protect minorities and often even condones the behavior of aggressors has made matters worse for the minorities, making their existence no less than a death sentence in the country.
To speak more on the issue, we have Qamar Agha, senior journalist and an expert in South Asian political affairs. Mr. Agha, Pakistan seems to have unleashed mayhem on the minorities, whether it is the people of the other faith or the Muslims from the other sects. They are consistently being targeted. How do you see this, and what, according to you, is the real situation of minorities in the country?
Pakistan has created different militant organizations to deal with different minorities groups. For example, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi or Sipah-e-Sahaba, these are the groups, which are mainly targeting Shia minorities. Then there are groups, Taliban Pakistan, which is targeting non-Muslims, like the Hindu minority or the Sikh minorities, Christian minorities. So there are different groups which are dealing with different minorities, and all these groups are being trained, funded by the Pakistani military establishment.
How do you see the latest attack on the Hazara community? Do you agree that these extremists who are targeting a particular community are being backed by the state?
Hazaras are particularly being targeted. This is one of the most persecuted community, Besides Hazara, the other Shias living in Karachi or other places, they are also being targeted by Sipah-e-Sahaba or Lashkar-e-Jhangvi militant groups. These are the groups, they are mainly targeting, in Karachi and other places, they are mainly targeting the professionals within the Shia community. In the last 1 decade, hundreds of engineers, doctors, and people professors, teachers, belonging to different professions are being killed by target killings. So they are deliberately doing it, creating panic, forcing these minorities, to convert into mainstream Islamic or accept mainstream Islamic ideology. So they have been doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Agha. Moving on to Afghanistan, where the Taliban have announced their annual spring offensive. The decision came just ahead of the next round of peace talks in Qatar. United States, which has been proactively taking the steps forward, has squarely condemned the decision. The Taliban have also put a restriction on the endeavors and operations being pursued by the United Nations in the country. It has banned the health agency operating under World Health Organization and Red Cross. WHO says that it will try to convince the local leaders into changing their decision. We have a report.
Despite accelerating peace talks between the Taliban and the US-led team to restore peace in war-torn Afghanistan, the insurgents have launched their annual spring offensive in the country. Although heavy fighting was going on for weeks, but the announcement of the spring offensive at this time, especially only days ahead of the next round of dialogue in Qatar, comes as a major blow to all hopes of agreement. The US government, which has been committed at finding a resolve to the protracted issue, has been hit the hardest. It has criticized the move of the Taliban. Apart from continuing its exercise, the Taliban, in a radical move, have banned the health agency operating under World Health Organization and the Red Cross till further notice. The World Health Organization, which expressed its concern after the ban, is currently carrying out a vaccination campaign in Afghanistan, one of the last countries in the world where polio is still endemic. WHO spokesman Tariq Jastrovic said the ban could impact the delivery of health services and called on all parties to ensure the neutrality of health intervention and protection of health workers.
We acknowledge the statement of local leaders in Afghanistan on temporary banning of WHO activities. Obviously, we are concerned that this will negatively impact delivery of health services to the affected population. We know that unhindered access to all areas is necessary to provide health services to those in need. We, as the Global Health Organization, we support health facilities in all parts of Afghanistan, including primary health care, response to health emergencies, vaccination and polio eradication.
Earlier, the Taliban had said the International Committee of the Red Cross, or ICRC, and the World Health Organization cannot operate in areas under their control, citing the two organizations have not put into practice the commitments they made to the group. The WHO has urged all the stakeholders in Afghanistan and the members of the international community to make interventions into the current ban so that the health services, which are one of the fundamental rights of the people, cannot be restored in the region. The organization has also said that it will endeavor to convince local leaders into lifting the ban.
Access to health services is a basic human right for all Afghan people, and we are committed to ensure access to health services for everybody living throughout the country. We call upon all parties to ensure the neutrality of health interventions and protection of health workers. We will continue the dialogue with local leaders to resolve this temporary ban as soon as possible in order to provide our uninterrupted services to the Afghan people.
In last year's spring offensive, the Taliban said its prime target was US forces. Now it says the focus is on attacking anyone connected with the Afghan government. The Taliban, which had refused to talk to the Afghanistan government, calling it the stooge of the United States, had also sidelined the Ghani-led team from two previous talks that aimed to bring peace in the country.
It has been more than 7 decades since the people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir have endured Pakistani subjugation. As if the years of discriminatory policies aimed at exploiting their land and resources weren't enough, Pakistan has stooped to a new low. Now it is depriving people of their own water. First, it diverted the water of Jhelum River for power projects that are going to benefit only them. And now they are all geared up to compound locals' plights by diverting the water of River Jhelum. Outraged by these developments, Kashmiris are carrying out protests and campaigns. A report.
British Kashmiris gathered in front of Pakistan High Commission in London and protested against the illegal diversion of water of Jhelum and Jhelum rivers in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. They shouted anti-Pakistan slogans and asked the government to immediately stop the exploitative agenda of depriving the locals of their water lifelines. They said receiving an uninterrupted supply of fresh potable water is the need and fundamental right of the residents of POK. They also expressed their worries at the Kohala Dam construction, a project that envisages the diversion of water of Jhelum as well.
आज पाकिस्तानी हाई कमीशन लंदन के बाहर जम्मू कश्मीर के शहरी ब्रिटिश कश्मीरी इसलिए इकट्ठे हुए हैं कि पाकिस्तान ने जो है वो दरियाए नीलम का रुख मोड़ दिया है और अब जो है वो दरिया झेलम का रुख मोड़ने का उसने मंसूबा बना रखा है और रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग जो है इस जबर के ख़िलाफ़ यहाँ पर इकट्ठे हैं और पाकिस्तान से ये कहा जा रहा है कि अपने मुल्क को रोशन सरसब्ज़ और शादाब करने के लिए रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों को तबाह बर्बाद ना किया जाए और रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों की पुरअमन आवाज़ है और पुरअमन आवाज़ जो है वो पाकिस्तान के हुक्मरान तबका सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। ये वाज़िया मिसालें हमारे सामने मौजूद हैं। मंगला डैम इन्होंने ताकत और जबर के दौर पर बनाया, उसकी तुसी जो है वो ताकत और जबर के दौर पर की। इसके बाद नीलम का रुख मोड़ा, अब झेलम का रुख जो है उन्होंने मोड़ने का प्लान कर रखा है और इस जबर के खिलाफ जो है आज ब्रिटिश कश्मीरी जो है वो जुल्म और जबर के खिलाफ एहतजाज कर रहे हैं।
Meanwhile, disgruntled people in Muzaffarabad city in POK are contemplating a way to get their water back. Several events are being organized across the city to aware the masses about the vicious agenda of Islamabad. Save River campaign is one such movement against the government which has by far remained apathetic to the plights of the people. These local activists have specifically accused the Water and Power Development Authority, WAPDA, which is responsible for maintaining water and power in the region but has been increasingly complicit in doing the unscrupulous, diverting the water as well as rights of these people towards Pakistan's favourite and pampered province of Punjab.
अब जो मज़ीद काम ये किया जा रहा है कोहाला हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिक प्रोजेक्ट की सूरत में कि मुजफ्फराबाद के अंदर जो दूसरा दरिया बहता है दरिया झेलम उसको भी डाइवर्ट किया जा रहा है बजाय इसके कि दरियाए नीलम के जो नुकसानात हैं उसका अजाला किया जाए, इसको मिनिमाइज़ किया जाए नुकसानात को, यहाँ इस शहर का दूसरा दरिया भी डाइवर्ट किया जा रहा है। हम जो मुतालबा कर रहे हैं वो ये है कि हमें रिवर डाइवर्जन किसी सूरत कबूल नहीं है, चूँकि एक रिवर डाइवर्ट करके हम देख चुके हैं।
Ever since the construction of Jhelum hydropower project, the Jhelum river passing through Muzaffarabad appears as a stormwater drain filled with sewage waste, and now people are worried that the river Jhelum is also going to meet the same fate. The earlier projects, which were built at the pretext of bringing prosperity, have deeply affected the lives of common people, with many of them forced to migrate to other places in the country, and this all being is done to realize the materialistic ambition of Pakistan. Today, Pakistan has seemingly become a failed state, with economist intelligence unit yet again terming it a hybrid regime. While it has been making tall claims of being a progressive state, the reality reeks of widespread atrocities being committed on people of POK to further marginalize and torture them.
Moving on. For more than thousands of years, local and migrating species of birds have flocked in Afghanistan during spring season. Bird hunting, an ancient sport, turns popular these days when hunters lay snares in a hope to catch one or two. Even after years of chaos and instability in the region, the bird hunting tradition is hard to escape the residents of Afghanistan. Have a look.
As the early morning light breaks over the plain north of Kabul, bird hunter Jan Agha sets up his snares as he has done for the past 30 years, hoping to catch a crane using a tethered bird amid a flock of decoys to lure others down to the nets. Bird hunting is an ancient sport in Afghanistan where local and migrating species have flocked for thousands of years, and where even amid the chaos of the past 40 years of conflict, the tradition persists.
شکار پرنده را بعد در سن 12 ساله 13 ساله بودم، شوقی نور بودم. تفنگ چرایی را میگرفتم، در نور میرفتم، باز دیگه از اینمی مرغایی شکار میکردم. بعد از او باز خیلای کلنگ اگه دواییدم شوق اومد که بیا یک کسب کن کلنگ بازی کن. بعد از او با شکار کلنگ شروع کردم. شکار کلنگ شروع کردم، یعنی از شکار کلنگ ما یگان ممکن 30 سال میشه. 30 سال میشه که من شکار کلنگ میکنم. باز شکار بازم میکنم.
Spring is the season of crates, which the hunters try to catch alive in snares using a specially trained tethered bird whose cries attract passing flocks. Hunters set off at night, picnicking in the desert before testing their skills at dawn. After the day's catch has been secured, the tethered cranes are fed, and it's time for Jan Agha to have his breakfast before heading home to his farm, which is struggling with an ongoing drought.
زندهش اگر در جال میگیریم خوش مامه هم و خلاص کردنش و وغسش و پتش خیز که میدنه شوق ما دونموش است که جال کش میکنیم. دیگه باز اگر تفنگ میدنیم مردای را از آسمان زیر میفته میریم که حلال میکنیم یاره با سن مرده یا که سیل میکنیم سن کلنگای خود سیل میکنیم با جگر ما خون میشه میگیم مای فزیا که یاره ما ولا بیجان کردیم.
Jan Agha was born in the Bagram district but fled to Pakistan with his family during the Taliban era. When the family returned after the fall, they found little left and have slowly rebuilt their homes and lives and kept their hunting tradition alive. With environmental controls virtually non-existent, there is little check on how many birds are caught for shot, and Jan Agha, who started hunting when he was around 12 or 13, reckons he has taken more than 1,000 cranes and an unaccountable number of quails, ducks, hawks and sparrows.
لذت شکار نمیشه که شکاری یک امیدی داره که میاد از شکار میشینه که باش ما شکار بکنم. هر کار دنیا را که آدم یک کار پیشنهاد میکنه میره در کار موفق میشه یک لذت خاص داره.
Jan Agha currently has around 100 cranes in his home. They and other birds are usually taken to shops near the town of Bagram or to Kabul itself, where there is a popular bird market in the center. The war has left much of the environment near Kabul devastated, with uncleared mines, pollution, uncontrolled building and general neglect. Only in the last few years has there been an effort to restore areas like the former royal hunting grounds at Kole Hashmat Khan in the city's southwest.
Known as the land of festivals, India's northeastern region boasts of its rich cultures and traditions. These unique cultures come alive in the form of dance, music and celebrations during the festivals celebrated all across the region. Recently, Assam celebrated its one of the most significant festivals, Rongali Bihu, which is considered as the festival of merriment and marks the beginning of spring season. Let's have a look.
After weeks of preparations, the people of northeastern state of Assam erupted with joy and festivity as their most awaited festival of Bihu rolled in. People from all walks of life congregated and celebrated the festival of merriment that also marks the beginning of New Year, the spring and the harvest season. The Assamese almanac, which usually begins in mid-April, has its first month called Bohag, and that's the reason the festival is called Bohag Bihu. It is a week-long festival with different celebration on each of the 7 days. Assamese visit their friends and families and celebrate it with feasts, music and dancing.
Rongali Bihu is a very important festival of Assam and Assamese people because it brings joyfulness and create a foundation of the in people of Assam, their civilization and their the structure of the society.
Not only in Assam, but Bihu festival is celebrated by Assamese people residing across different parts of the country. Depicting the quintessence of Bohag or Rongali Bihu, hundreds of youngsters from the northeast region came together to celebrate this cultural extravaganza in the capital, New Delhi. A series of various cultural performances was also witnessed at the event as the youngsters dressed in traditional costumes sang and danced on the traditional beats of Assam as excited visitors gathered to see and get a first-hand experience of Assamese culture.
So it's of course a great feeling because as we are away from home, but then the organization which celebrates Bihu every year, so we feel like home here, and it's a way to get us, it keep us connected to our roots.
Today, the festival has expanded its reach across the length and the breadth of the country. People staying in even different parts of the country do not feel homesick during the occasion and celebrate it with festive fervor. The festival has also been instrumental in bridging the cultural gap on the diverse and monochromatic India. Such is the prominence of the festival that first thing that comes to the mind and tongue of a person who is speaking about Assam is Bihu. Evolved with the time, the Bihu festival has not lost its intrinsic nature and in fact has only grown in size and grandeur.
Bihus are the most important festivals of Assam, which are celebrated every year with loads of fun and abundance. The Rongali Bihu festival is just a part of the larger celebration which continues for 7 days. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.